And right, so we're back. My masking fluid is all dry. It has to be 100% dry before you start painting with it. And just have a little look. So if you've got any areas that are a little bit untidy where you might have gone off with the masking fluid, like I've got a little edge here just outside my pencil line. So all I have to do is just use the tip of my finger and push it back. I don't want to remove it. I just want to push it back so that it's actually back into the inside line. And you can do this anywhere if there's been a little overlap, or you just pick it up with the paint when you come to paint your picture. So what we're going to do is put a nice a nice background on this time, and we can just paint all over it. I have mixed up my colors, so I have got some lemon yellow, my ultramarine blue, I've got my sap green, and I have mixed a purple. Now this purple's mixed using ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. It's a reasonably creamy mix, and I'm just going to do the background wet on wet. So I'm going to wet, and just use the biggest brush you can for your background. I'm just going to wet all over. I'm not too worried about anything else. I'm just wetting all over the background. As normal, when we're doing a wash, I always say put your water on, give it a count of 4 so that it starts to soak into the fibre of the paper. And then you'll see little areas that become dull. There's a dull area there and here. That tells me that the water has already sunk into the paper. So if I take too long with my wash, that's the area I'm most likely to end up with hard lines. So I've still got other areas on the paper that's got plenty of water. So all I'm doing is just going back over it. It's had a couple of seconds to soak in. I can see if there's anywhere that's too dry. And now I'm ready to add my paint. So I want a nice dark, or shades around here that's nice and dark, but I'm going to start with my lightest colour, which would be the lemon yellow. So I'm going to bring that down more from the top towards the bottom. Nothing too fancy, you're just swirling the paint in. So I've got that. I'm going to go in for a little bit of the sap green. I'm not worried. I want these colours to mix and merge. That's their job, basically. I'm just covering everything with a little mix of these colours. And then when we get into this area here, which is my really dark area, I'm going to go in behind them and just drop in some of this purple. All I want is to create a nice dark backdrop, really, so that the white flowers stand out. So I'm going to pull that in there, all down to the bottom. And then I'm just going to wisp a few of these little ends up. These will dry a lot lighter than it looks now. This looks quite strong and quite dark, but when it's dry, it won't. Trust me on it. You'll be surprised how much this lightens as it dries. So again, a little bit of the purple just coming in along the bottom here, and then I'm going to pick up just some of the neat ultramarine blue. I haven't washed my brush once because I've gone through the colours from the lightest, which was the lemon yellow, into the sap green. And just pulling through a slightly thicker mix on the blue, just to give a little bit format to some of these. Now you could use a burnt sienna in the background, or a darker green. So I'm using my ultramarine blue with a little bit of the sap green. And again, I'm just pulling some bits through but keeping the darks predominantly towards the center or around the snowdrops, because what I want is to give them a backdrop so that they stand out. So if you've got white against or light against dark, it just gives you a much nicer contrast. And of course your beautiful white plants will stand out back there. So that's all we're going to do. And then next, this has to dry. So in a couple of minutes, it will be completely dry. You shouldn't attempt to move or take any of the masking fluid off until it's absolutely 100% dry. If you try and take it off at this point, then all that will happen is you'll rip the paper, and the colour that you probably don't want will flood into the other areas. Mainly, you will just rip your paper. So again, just going in whilst it's still damp. It's not dry, but it's no longer spreading as much now because the background, despite how wet it was, the background has already started drying. So this paint is thicker, so it will sit on top of and give me a slightly different texture to what I've already got. I'm quite happy with that, so I'm just going to leave it, let it do its own thing. Wash your brush out, get it clean, ready for the next session. Okay, right, have a go. Bye.